A very good evening, everyone. Myself, Shauradip Odhikari, and it's an absolute honor and privilege to welcome you all to this insightful session organized by Modak Trainer Academy. Today, we come together to explore a very crucial subject: evolving marketing perspectives, how organizations compete. Now, I would like to share a few words with all of you about our today's eminent speaker. We are truly fortunate to have with us a distinguished thought leader, Professor Sudas Roy, whose contributions to marketing education and research have been monumental. With an illustrious academic career spanning nearly 5 decades, Professor Roy has shaped the field of marketing through his extensive teaching, research, and consultancy work. After completing his MBA from IIM Calcutta, he transitioned into academia, beginning his journey at XLRI Jamshedpur, where he not only served as a faculty member in marketing but also took on the pivotal role of academic dean. His association with IIM Calcutta for over 30 years saw him rise to the position of full professor, where he contributed significantly to research, PhD supervision, executive training, and international collaborations. His global academic footprint includes his tenure as a visiting fellow at SDA Bocconi, Milan, Italy, where he engaged in cutting edge teaching and research. Even after retirement, his passion for education continues as he serves as a visiting faculty member at several IIMs across the country. Through today's session, we are going to gain profound insights into a very important thing: how marketing strategies are evolving and how businesses can stay ahead in an increasingly competitive environment. Now, on the behalf of Modak Trainer Academy, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Professor Sudas Roy for providing us with his valuable time today. We are eager to learn from his vast experience and expertise. Also, I would like to thank all of you for your valuable presence here. Let us welcome our today's distinguished guest speaker, Professor Sudas Roy, and begin this enlightening session. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it is going to be quite a challenge to live up to the type of introduction that you have given me. Frankly, I don't think I deserve that type of, fairly hyped introduction. I have done things to the best of my ability, but I know my limitations also. So anyway, today we have I must begin by also thanking Mr. Ramesh Modak and Dr. Gargi De, who were mainly instrumental in getting me here this evening. Couple of points before I get into the subject. I was looking through the list of speakers and topics that Modak Trainers Academy has been engaged with, and I find that most of these topics have been of a very high order of thinking in the realm of philosophy, spiritualism, and various other psychological topics, issues. In that, to talk about marketing, which is a very down-to-earth, practical, in a sense, commercial subject, so to say, makes me feel a little nervous as to whether the conceptual depth of the subject is sufficient to really interest the very erudite listeners of today, of this evening. I'll try my best, and rest is left to you to find out. Uh, this topic is pretty vast. I'm trying to cover in 1 hour's time what we normally take to cover in about 30 hours of teaching in a typical management institute. But anyway, we'll try our best. Uh, Objective is perhaps not to do a elaborate coverage, but basically to look at the points or topics that I raise and try to make them as clear and understandable as possible, so that when you take away from this session, you take away something somewhat concrete. Let's hope for that. Can I have the first slides, please? Yeah. So today's topic is evolving marketing perspectives, how organizations compete. In this title itself, two issues are sort of concealed in a way, or there. One is perspective, which means that we are not getting into the nitty-gritty details of or operational details of day-to-day management of a function called marketing. We shall leave it to the practicing managers, and perhaps this is not the right time and place for discussing that. We need many more hours to do that. So what we are going to confine ourselves to is looking at broadly the major perspectives. And can we just wait for a minute for the slide? Yeah. We shall talk about the broader perspectives, meaning what are the major odds in marketing which have influenced marketing strategy building and organizations' ability and way of competing with one another. A very quick background. Marketing as a subject, as a practice or as a combination of science and art of marketing, can actually gets developed and flourished in a capitalistic framework of economy, where competitive capitalism is practiced. Meaning, if I talk about a state-controlled country like USSR before 1991, or let's say North Korea, we shall perhaps find very little effective scope for practicing marketing. Though China is a state-controlled country, single-party controlled country, but since it follows an economic model of state capitalism, which allows competition to exist within this economic border, I'm sure that in Chinese business schools, marketing is also an important subject. So you have to have some amount of competition for this practice to develop. So our focus today will be on that. So let's see how the subject has evolved over time. Can we have the first slides, please? Yeah. In the first point, we're saying something which is quite similar to and close to what we often discuss under economics. Marketing is an exchange of values. What values are being exchanged here? What is the market provide? What is the service provider or the product owner is providing in the market? Against what value? I mean, what is the exchange here? There are two parties. One party is the buyer, or in this case, is a consumer who is a buyer, who has entered the market to buy certain things. So he is offering a price or a monetary value to obtain what he wants from the market. And the provider is offering a product or a service which he thinks will make this customer meet his requirements, will leave the customer satisfied after the exchange. So without this exchange, marketing will not happen. There has to be some exchanges. Not necessarily that always exchange will be in terms of money versus tangible product, Sometimes it can be money versus service. It can sometimes be also barter, as we all know from market economics, for example. Between countries, we can have barter trades. When we had our earlier relationship with the Soviet Union, erstwhile Soviet Union, we used to buy MiG jet fighters from them, and we used to sell them in exchange kerosene, which was a refined product and which was in short supply in Russia at that time. So we have that type of arrangements going. So essentially what we're saying is that marketing comes into existence or becomes operational when a successful exchange takes place. And what is the meaning of successful exchange here? That the product or service offered by the marketer is something which addresses and meets the requirement of the needs and wants of the customer. So what is marketing? Marketing is the ability to satisfy customers' requirements or needs or wants satisfactorily so that customer becomes satisfied and often comes back again to buy that product. So Peter Drucker, for example, one of our management gurus, defined marketing as art and science of creating an exchange value which creates new customers as well as retains existing customers. Second point we're making is that marketing defines business. What is the meaning of marketing defining business? What business are we in? This is a very typical, marketing question. Typically, when you ask, for example, if I ask Ratan Tata that in which business the Tata Group is in, he cannot answer this question in one single sentence because he has so many companies under him. So perhaps we have to then select a specific company and say, what business is Tata Steel in? What is the typical answer? The typical answer is that Tata Steel is in the business of making steel. Question that marketing people will like us to ask is, when I'm defining the business, should I define it in that fashion or something differently? Question is why? What's wrong with defining Tata Steel as a steel maker? That is obvious. That is their main product. One would say that while in the short and medium term, this definition will work sufficiently all right, if I take a long-term view of the industry, and if we want to keep our flexibility of the organization going, then it is better perhaps to provide the definition from the customer's point of view, meaning define the business from the customer's perspective. What type of needs and wants are being broadly satisfied by Tata Steel? So you're producing something which is useful, which has a multiple application in many industries. And in each different area of application, there can be different type of competition. So definition of Tata Steel is not very easy. What we have to say is that Tata Steel in construction application has this type of needs and requirements being satisfied. Tata Steel in automobile satisfies a different type of requirement. And those are measured by the qualitative characteristics of the steel that is being sold. So for different applications, for different end use, Tata Steel has to have a different type of definition of its business. In other words, from a purely product-centric viewpoint, you must define your business from the customer-centric perspective. Because it is the customer who is providing the lifeblood of your business by buying your product and reposing confidence in your product, and by buying it again and again. So am I in a business for example, let's take another example. The society is undergoing change. It is being subject to different types of pulls and pressures. One of the major concerns today, notwithstanding what Donald Trump may say, a major global concern today is the threat of global warming and climate change. Now, in this context, the way I produce an economic product, which is useful to the society, to the customers, to the market, has to be viewed also in terms of whether the production of this product and consumption of this product contributes in any way to the, in a positive or a negative way, to this issue of global climate change. Is the steel making process being followed by Tata Steel such that it is leaving a bigger, larger carbon footprint? And if that is so, then is it doing a, is it a expected role of the company that they're doing it well? The answer is no. So we have to have a separate type of definition now. So marketing thereby is not just what is happening in the market, but marketing is also has a societal marketing dimension to it. That means while I am satisfying my customers who are buying my steel to make automobile or to build with other products, the regulator as well as the society in general is judging me by the point that what type of carbon footprint I'm leaving behind. And more, the larger the footprint, more is the sanction that Tata Steel might face given the growing concern of the society. So today, there is a large segment of steel industry which is actually technologically reinventing itself to create what we call green steel. Steel which is leaving far fewer or far less carbon footprint. So we have brought in two concepts here. One is let the consumers define your business by the point that what of their needs and wants that you are satisfying. And B, even a bigger dimension, sometimes the business definition would include even the society's demand on you, society's expectation on you. So as an economic player, you have to satisfy both these parties here, the society as well as the consumer. Sometimes, and that is the interesting point, sometimes if the consumer's requirement or in the process of satisfying the consumer, if I fall foul of the society's expectation, then then there will be some problem. So then a sort of regulator's role will come in to correct the deviation. And what we are seeing today is actually that is what is happening in case of industries like steel and many other industries. National Thermal Power Corporation, is the largest power producing company in the country, in India. It's a public sector company. Now, what is their business? Their business is to generate electric power. Is that their business? Apparently so, yeah, why not? But if you do so, then tomorrow, when again the climate concern, etc., or environmental concern will bring in the pressure that you cannot burn fossil fuel, including coal, to generate electricity, you must expand your portfolio and move into hydel, move into nuclear, move into solar or wind. Then a company which is even named as National Thermal Power Corporation is patently unsuitable to do that. So if you want to keep your future options open and you want to keep your organization growing and responding to the environmental needs, then it is better that you first, which they've already done, abbreviate your name into NTPC rather than calling it National Thermal Power Corporation. And define your company as an energy provider, as an energy solution provider, rather than as an electricity generating company. Because if you define your company in that fashion, then you keep the flexibility open, you keep yourself open to future diversification, change, or adaptation to the new environment. And that ensures your long-term, indefinite continuation, growth, and existence. So please remember that when I define my business, let marketing perspective help me to define that business. Otherwise, I'll become too narrow. In marketing, we call this phenomena as marketing myopia. For example, the spectacle that I'm wearing is helping me to overcome my nearsightedness. Similarly, I need to have a consumer oriented spectacle for the organization to overcome its nearsightedness. Because if it is too narrowly sighted, then it will keep on defining its business by its existing products. And tomorrow, when the demand changes, or when the market changes, or when the society changes, then it finds itself unable to meet those requirements. So we have seen many organizations over the years who have bitten the dust, who have just completely got wiped out because of this marketing myopia. Some of the bigger names, big names in the world. To name a few, Kodak camera company, who defined their businesses of making photo films. And when the film making became digital, they suddenly found the bottom has gone out of their market. So they're totally unfit. Same thing has happened we had a company called uh, Photo Films, I think Indian Photo Films or something, which was located in Utkama, Uti, to be in a very nice climate for their sensitive film roles. And same thing happened to them. So how you define photography business? Somebody would say that photography essentially, if you look at it from the consumer's point of view, is actually a business which enables consumers to capture and retain memories, mostly pleasant memories. Now, whichever device and it helps the consumer to do that cost effectively, without hassle, freely, and flexibly, is the device that the consumer will prefer, will buy. So consumer has no particular obligation to Kodak to buy their film rolls, because for consumer film roll is not the issue. Issue is what helps them to capture the memories of various pleasant moments of their life. If I can capture it through a digital mobile set, why should I bother about a film roll or a camera with a film roll? And blah blah blah. On the other hand, if I look at another customer group, for example, a professional photographer group who earn their livelihood by producing high resolution, excellent photographs for various purposes, industrial photography or nature photography or wildlife photography. They might say that what device I use, what resolution I get for the camera, what technical parameters that they are offering are very, very important to me. It is not just capturing happy moments. I have to capture something which will be sellable in the market, and which will satisfy the most important connoisseurs of that area of that photo. So here you talk about high resolution cameras, but these are again digital cameras. So technology has changed. So analog cameras will not do. You have to shift with time. So define your business from the perspective of the consumer and avoid marketing myopia. Resilience. This is the word that we use in marketing. That if a company can anticipate customers' needs and wants in time and can shift gears by introducing new products or by innovating on new ideas and new products or new services, it helps them to survive and grow and earn profits for a much longer period than those who are blinkered, who define their business by their existing products. So the final takeaway from this section is that when you plan your product offerings or service offerings, what you say is that while I have a bread and butter product today, which gives me most of my revenue, today's breadwinners, let's put it that way, I must also have a line open after scanning the environment, which will give me tomorrow's breadwinners as well. So I shall keep it perhaps today at the pilot stage or at the trial stage or the experimental stage, but should have enough confidence to build it up into a proper business model when the time becomes opportune. So this is how, So today's market will not continue forever. And what we are seeing is that as the time passes by and with the technology changing fast, consumer behavior is also changing fast. And this problem is becoming even more acute. So the time period given to a given product to sustain and develop and become profitable, that period is becoming shorter and shorter. So we have to be far more uh, flexible, as well as should be on the go, so to say. Uh, so this obviously requires customer focus, the second box here, identifying, fulfilling customers' needs and wants. It's a very long story, and I don't think I can spend the whole 1 hour on this topic itself. But point is that a company becomes successful and vis-a-vis and becomes more successful vis-a-vis its competitors when this company can sense and predict or forecast and exploit the new opportunities which are reflected by these needs and wants. Needs and wants of consumers are nothing but market opportunities for the marketeer. And this we are seeing every day around us. I mean, this is not a rocket science. It is all common sense. Sad but true that for a huge group of aspirational Indians whose income may be relatively moderate, who may be described broadly as middle class and sometimes even lower middle class, their aspirations have become that what we missed out on, let our children don't miss out on. That means let my children get an English education or education with the medium of English. Many of us are sad about this development, partly because our local languages often get affected, etc., etc. But let's not get into that point. Keeping to the marketing context of this, it means that I, as a service provider, I'm in the business of providing education. So I think of concepts like product offerings like preschool, kidsy, where 2.5 to 4 year old children will be kept like in a crash like of situation, and they'll be given the basic initial flavor of English language, blah blah. I talk about English medium school. Similarly, another aspiration among the many of the technical graduates of our country, or even non-technical graduates, to go abroad and find a better future and better life. To cater to the demand, market will supply with typical agencies like agency which take care of your visa issues, agencies which advise you on how to immigrate, agencies which talk about higher educational opportunities abroad, etc., etc. Quite often, these needs are quite obvious, quite apparent, so not very difficult to find. But sometimes you'll have to dig deep into consumer psychology and develop or find out the insights about customer behavior to guide you properly on your product planning or service offering. uh, I'll give you one example. It's a very simple example again. Uh, the regional differences in India. We are a big country, and we are often proud to talk about our diversity of our country, different cultures, etc., etc. These differences also get reflected in different dietary preferences. And so if I'm a company like Marico or Wilmar Adani, who are in the business of edible oil business, I have to know very clearly how much of mustard oil can I sell in Eastern India and how much of coconut oil I can sell in Southern India. And can I sell coconut oil at all to Gujaratis whose preferred option is groundnut oil? So these are the issues that will keep on working on the market here. You can go further deeper. As a case study of a pre-cooked cake mix, you buy the packet from the supermarket and open the packet, and get this cake, put on the oven and bake it for a few minutes, and the cake is ready, because all it has been pre-made for you and sold in a pre-made form. So only thing required is a few minutes of baking after buying it. So in this company found that when they brought out this pre-baked cake, uh, after initial surge in sales, within a few months, the sale came down drastically. And they were really puzzled. What has caused this? And then they found a very, very interesting thing. First of all, they did the initial usual market research using their paper and pencil questionnaire method. And on the direct questions, answers were recorded. But those answers did not lead to any conclusion which could help them. So they went into deeper issues. They hired a firm which specializes in psychological research. We call it motivational research. And to find out, is there any motivational issues involved here? And what they came up with was very interesting. They found that initially, and I'm talking about 50s, 1950s, those days, very limited number of ladies were in the labor force. Most of the ladies were actually homemakers or housewives who had family. And these housewives were making, in the US context, were making their own cakes, right from the breaking of the eggs, mixing the ingredients, preparing the basic stuff, and then putting it in the oven, baking it, and then serving. The whole process from A to Z was done by this housewife. And when the family members got to taste the cakes, they started saying how good the cake was, how delicious it was. She felt very proud as a housemaker, as a housewife. She felt that her work, labor has been well rewarded by the appreciation of the family members. However, when you bring in a pre-made cake in this context, which takes only 2 minutes or 3 minutes for the housewife's time to make it ready for serving, and then people say that it is a very good cake, she felt guilty. She felt that this is a credit which is not for me. Actually, that should go to the company which has made the pre-cake made. I'm serving it here. Now, that guilt made them feel that even though the cake is very convenient to make, even though it saves a lot of time, labor, and energy, since it induces a guilt feeling in me, I would rather avoid it. In order to perform my role as a proper housewife, I need to be honest to myself, and I would rather make the cake genuinely myself rather than present a pre-cooked cake. So you see, these are the very interesting sort of insights that you get by digging deep into consumer behavior, consumer psyche, and use those knowledge to formulate your marketing strategy. So, and many of us here are having psychological background in psychology, and very elementary level, we have read about Maslow's need hierarchy, for example. So we know that there are various elementary level needs, and then you move up from them to further and further. And we, in marketing, find a lot of use for this type of concepts to sharpen our strategic insights. And then lastly, we talked about avoiding myopia. Can I have the next slide, please? So these sort of background discussion leads us to what is a very important strategic sort of tool for marketing people, which are called marketing mix variables. I'm sorry if that font size is too small. If you can't read it, I'm sorry for that. But let me read it out for you. There are 7 boxes here, and they are reading from top. I'm going from top to the right, clockwise. Product, price, place, promotion, people, process management, and physical evidence. This marketing mix means these are the variables which a marketer or an organization doing the marketing will be using in different combinations to formulate a marketing strategy which will impact the customer and bring out a desirable response from him or her. Please remember that when I'm talking about market, I must make it clear we are talking about 2 different markets included. One is the consumer market, other is a organizational market or a market which where the companies are the buyers or organizations are the buyers. So you buy as an individual for you and your family. You as a purchase manager buy on behalf of a company. So marketing is covering both these situations. What are these mixed factors? Product. What is the product? Of course, all your sound system is off, so I cannot expect a response. Let me clarify. Product is, of course, a bundle of attributes created often by use of technology, raw material, etc., etc. But this is all very technical definition. For us, marketing definition of product is that product is something which offers a benefit to the user or the consumer. Sometimes a benefit, sometimes a set of benefits. A particular product can satisfy you at different levels of need and want satisfaction. I buy a fountain pen, ballpoint pen. Nowadays, you don't buy fountain pens. Ballpoint pen. This ballpoint pen is at the very first level, it is offering me a need satisfaction of convenience of easy flow of writing. And at certain level, if I have a ballpoint pen with a name called Cross, a Cross ballpoint pen, which I have paid quite a lot of money to buy, it has a sleek golden color body or a silver color body, and it fits very neatly into my shirt pocket. When I'm writing a check or I'm making signing a letter, I take it out with a flourish and do my signature. I see that I'm satisfied. I'm happy and proud to display my Cross ballpoint pen. So I have another level of satisfaction, which is the satisfaction of perceived status or perceived, should I say, prestige. Both of us are moving by a car from point A to point B. The car is providing transportation benefit or mobility benefit. Absolutely fundamental, elementary. But my car is a Maruti 800 costing 21 lakh rupees, and my neighbor's car is a Mercedes Benz costing 25 lakhs rupees or 30 lakh rupees. There has to be some difference. So besides the transportation need, customer is wanting, and has the ability to pay for it, of course, is wanting some additional want satisfaction, namely maybe status, maybe prestige, maybe comfort of ride, better comfort of ride, etc., etc. There is a wristwatch which everybody is familiar with. It's a brand name called Rolex. Rolex is a very well-known wristwatch. Now, one of their advertisements read like this. It shows the United Nations General Assembly building in New York. You know, the typical building, which even by looking at it, you can identify it as United Nations building. And the caption reads, if you are a speaker in the assembly, in the security assembly of this building today, most probably you will be wearing a Rolex. So it does not say anything about the watch, what the watch is made of, what is the technical parameters of that watch, how accurate is the horology, etc., how many crystals are there. Nothing, no technical. But it talks a whole lot about how proud you are to wear this watch on your wrist. Because you are a mover, you are a part of the movers and shakers of this world. You are leading your country's delegation to Security Council. You must be a very high up VIP, so to say, a politician, ambassador, diplomat, whatever. And you have the power to make things happen in many contexts. So, and for you, the watch which is suitable for your wrist is that of Rolex. So see how the psychological angles are being used and exploited by marketing to create this product offering and create this brand. So product is something which offers benefit at different levels for the customer. One of the creativity aspect of marketing is that what type of, based using consumer insight, what type of newer positioning you can do. That means what type of newer types of satisfaction you can create for your brand, which will make the customers or a group of customers more interested in your product. And this is how you compete in the market. Price, same thing with price also. Price is something which I pay. It's a sacrifice. It's a negative element. It's a pain factor. So one of the issues of marketing is how can I reduce this pain? So to get the value from my product, you have to pay me a certain price. However, can I make this price payment pain more manageable? How I do it? Of course, very straightforward upfront examples are price promotion. That means I combine price with another box here called promotion. I offer rebates and discounts. In case of price, I say buy now, pay later. Or I say cash down 10,000 rupees, rest on EMI. So these are all typical techniques of, Please also remember that psychology plays a role in pricing as well. We have a psychology of pricing issue, as we all know, familiar with. For example, the Bata footwear pricing. Bata shoes pricing has typically been like 199 rupees 70 paisa, 298 rupees 30 paisa, which tells us, or it tells them, they believe that by saying this, keeping this type of odd pricing, you actually are preventing the customer from thinking that it is 200 rupees or more. They think more that it is more a part of 100 to 200 categories. So it is much cheaper than the psychological gap between 198 and 200 is not 2 rupees, but more than that. And we are using a very important psychological principle here called Gestalt. That means we are trying to, we are giving you an incomplete picture, but you are completing it in your own mind by saying that this shoe is not really 200. It's cheaper than that. So if this is the assumption on which Bata pricing is based. So price, other issue about price is that I must equate the price with the value of the product that I'm offering. So if my product offers high value, and if I don't charge high price, I might actually create a dissonance in the mind of customer. You go to a specialty doctor, you have a surgery problem issue coming up, I think. So you go to the doctor, and the doctor says, yes, I'll do the operation, and it will cost you 50,000 rupees. You are feeling little worried. You say, but normally, as I checked with my friends, etc., who have gone through similar surgery, they said it costs about 2 lakh rupees. If he's charging 50,000 rupees, is he okay? I hope there's just nothing wrong with him. A feeling of misgiving, a feeling of distrust. So I am equating price with quality here. I'm saying higher the price, higher is the quality. And if you break that relationship and offer me something which is deviant from that model, I start developing a mistrust. And I say, I would rather look for another offer. So please note that it is not that the cheaper price will sell always, or that reducing the price is the only objective here. If I reduce the price for a product which has high value in the mind of the customer, I might actually be losing the customer. Sometimes. So price is another issue. And of course, there are many complexities in case. For example, if you buy a product with what I call hidden qualities, what is the difference between an automobile and a newspaper? Newspaper with its 20, 30 pages of news and in different sections is very obviously apparent to you, and you are paying a price for it to get it. Automobile offers you an outward look, color, shape, blah, blah, but there are a lot of things which are hidden inside the product. For example, the engine. For example, the boot space. For example, the riding comfort, unless you take a test drive, you don't know that. So this, when there are hidden qualities involved, one of the ways of making the customer feel reassured that he'll get good hidden qualities is to charge the product accordingly, is to charge the price accordingly. So please note that there is nothing called a dogmatic issue here. You cannot say lower the price, higher is the demand. It will not happen always like that. So please, so marketing people always believe that link the price to the value offering. Place is distribution. Where is the product made available to you? One of the biggest changes that have come over in our life is thanks to COVID-19. So what has happened with pandemic and post-pandemic world? We were told in the beginning, during the pandemic, we were told you cannot get out of your house. Lockdown, severe lockdown, at least in countries like China and India. That lockdown sprung a new industry, what is called the home delivery industry. And many people from that time carried on this habit after pandemic. And they found it a highly convenient situation. So a situation has come up like this. You work from home because you are not allowed to go to the office. You work from home, you cannot go to the market, so ask the market to come to you. So work from home and home delivery will combine together to make your life bearable. So today we have a whole lot of industry which has sprung up to deliver products to your home. Now, place, meaning distribution, means that here it is doorstep convenience. The product will reach right up to your house. In our country, where a large section of consumers have very relatively low income, what the problem with them is that they cannot bring a lot of money to the market. Their wallet is half empty. So when they go to the market for shopping or for buying vegetables, fruit, or whatever they buy, the broad currency notes they might carry will be 100 rupees, 200 rupees. And with that, they will break that 100 or 200 rupees into many product categories to meet their requirements. So one of the primary demand on the marketeer in India is how to make the pack sizes smaller. If you sell only minimum, say 250 gram biscuits, there may be not many buyers if you want to address the volume market. So you have to bring in a pack size which is 100 grams, sometimes even 50 grams. Britannia will bring out a small cake in a single cake pack. Some of the smallest packets in the world are available in Indian market, essentially to show that a vast majority of our consumers have very low purchasing power. Of course, things are changing, improving, but still is a major point. So packaging and distribution, they go hand in hand together. And B, since these people often are daily income earners, so they often earn their money at the end of the day. I mean, they go to the shop market at the end of the day with whatever money they've earned for the day. And that's the time when the product must be available wherever they go. It may be a retail shop, it may be a street corner, pan biriwala or a tea stall, and the product has to be available. So in India, one of the major challenges of marketing is how to distribute the product so that it is available almost everywhere, particularly if you want to make your brand, strong. Third is another category of product where the demand is unpredictable, but demand is often linked to things like weather and climate, etc. And those demands can happen anytime. Let's take an example of two products. One is a habit forming product. Both are habit forming, actually. One is a tobacco product, a cigarette. Now, everybody will say it's a bad product, agreed. But the question is, the producer who produces cigarettes, he has to sell them. Now, many of the times, the habit will make the customer light up a cigarette anywhere in the indoor or outdoor. So when he's walking in the street and he's feeling like having a smoke, fishes out the packet from his pocket and finds that it is empty. He has to get a cigarette right there and there. Same is with things like thirst quenchers, the soft drinks. In a hot summer day, when you are walking on the road and feeling thirsty, you are feeling like having a glass of water or something. There's no water available. So you are guided towards a bottle of Coke or something. If you have the money in your pocket, you can buy it. So such products require what is called ubiquitous distribution. It should be anytime, anywhere. Coca-Cola company, I'm sorry, Pepsi-Cola company head, who was a student of my institute, Indra Nui, worldwide chief, she mentioned that our policy of distribution is that we must place a bottle of Pepsi within the arm's length of desire. Meaning, as soon as the desire comes up in the mind, within the arm's length of that desire, I must keep a bottle, because unless that bottle is available that time, desire will not last for too long. It will immediately go to a competitor's brand or something else, like a green coconut, for example. So distribution of consumer goods is a very important issue in India. It's a vast country. It has a lot of big towns, small towns, villages. So we need a full network of distribution too. So this is another factor in marketing. Promotion is another big issue, which has got made up of advertising, promotion, sales promotion, and what we call public relation. Nowadays, with the advent of electronic media, a lot of new promotion avenues have been opened up. Today, one of the major promotion avenue is, or role is played by what we call the opinion influencers. There are YouTube video makers who present various topics through their YouTube channel. And all of us, through our smartphone, mobile telephony, we get access to them. And whatever they say makes a lot of impact on many of us. And they really shape our opinion on many topics. So if I can put my advertising message during the video run time, or if I can, even better, if I can make this influencer talk something about my brand, which is very unlikely though, if it can happen, then it gives me a major boost in the mind of the customer. Because these influencers are highly credible in the eyes of the end customer. So if, for example, I don't know many major influencers, but some people, if so man is a major movie reviewer in a video channel or in his channel, and he gives high score to high rating to a movie, it makes me feel that I think I should watch it, that type of thing. So promotion, advertising. Advertising is a very controversial topic. It has attracted a lot of flack from the critics. As early as 1950s, there was a book called Hidden Persuader, which said that advertising's job is to persuade the customer or potential customer to buy things or to demand things or want things which really they don't need, which are not really, sometimes not good for them, sometimes not necessary for them, sometimes can be a sheer wastage of money. However, advertising has remained powerful and it still continues to be more powerful. I know that there are a lot of controversy about advertising. Today, advertising is coming up in many new avatars. In mobile, for example, everybody has a smartphone these days. 60%, 68% of India has smartphone penetration. So you have, I'm sorry, I already got it to 11 o'clock. You have this mobile, the advertisements which come contextually with the help of AI and other technologies. Now the mobile can really sense your browsing habit. For example, where you are scrolling, what you are clicking on, which websites you are looking at, etc. So once they do that, once they sense what you are doing, then they put contextual advertising messages to fit with that search. I'll give you an example from my own experience. Last month, I was exploring some visit abroad schemes, and one of the target countries was an African safari. And within 5 minutes, I found that my laptop has a lot of messages from different travel agencies about African safari offers. So new advertising is of this type. These four make the what we call the product marketing mix, and the other three are becoming more useful for the service marketing, along with these four. So the next one is people. People are important because the people who are making the actual sales on your behalf are, are important ambassadors of your company, whose behavior, whose conduct, whose ability to sell, to persuade, all make a difference to your business performance. And it also carries an impression in the mind of customer about your company. So the people whom you recruit and train and deploy them in marketing and sales, they are very, very important resources, and they become a part of your marketing strategy. If you don't have the right people, then you cannot make a success of your activity. Similarly, process management. Service companies, this is very, very important. I lodge a complaint with an after-sales service department. How long it takes them for them to respond, how soon they come, how good is the solution provided, does it work well, etc. So process management is very important. And finally, physical evidence. What is the difference between a service and a product? Typically, at a very elementary level, that product is tangible. Product is this mobile phone. Service is this lecture that I'm giving, and you people are listening. So we are creating this service product here. What is the physical evidence? Services are intangible by nature. So if I can tangibilize the service in some fashion, then I can make it more easily available and distributed to large number of people. One of the best examples of physical evidence of service is when you get a debit card or a credit card, or what you call an ATM card. Because this card has a lot of financial power in it. You can withdraw cash from the ATM, you can use it for some time for purchase, you can use it for buying a ticket, you can use it for taking a loan, etc., etc. So all these are financial services benefits, which are embodied in, symbolized by this piece of plastic called the debit card or the credit card. So, and it is very easy to carry. It is a convenient thing. And so this is how the physical evidence is created. Physical evidence is personalizing the brand. Service is offered by somebody, that somebody himself becomes the brand. So I talk about Peter Drucker. So Peter Drucker is a management guru. He is a brand by himself. So services. I'm sorry, we have already run out of time. It's 11 o'clock. What
no
I'll do is
problem, sir. Please continue. Please continue.
If we cannot go
Sir, please continue easily. No problem.
I hope so. I mean, I hope others are agreeing to it. Okay, can I get back to the slide then? Can we? Yeah. So when these 7 factors are combined, blended in different proportions, please remember this. This relationship within these 7 factors is not additive. It is not A plus B plus C, etc. Nor it is sort of, it is multiplicative, meaning A into B, etc., but in different proportions. So in every situation, all factors will not carry equally important weight. Weights will be different. Secondly, you cannot ignore one particular element, meaning if in these 7 factors, if one factor becomes 0 in terms of your investing money or resources, then the whole equation will become 0 because it's multiplicative. So you have to have some amount of allocation of resources behind each of these factors. But which factor will get what weighted proportion is what essentially is the marketing strategy. A marketing manager is paid by his company to achieve this, to get this proper blend of this marketing mix. Because idea is that if this blend is effective, then its impact on market will be the maximum in terms of customer satisfaction, customer response, and customer positive behavior. And when I compete with another company, my marketing mix creates that competitive advantage. Today in Indian GDP, we roughly have about 16-17% of manufacturing, and others about 18% of agriculture. So what is it? About 34%. And primary sector is about another 10%, 45%. So nearly 55 to 60% is services. Indian economy is a very typical economy which remaining developing, not being fully developed yet. Remaining developing has shifted away from manufacturing to services. So in our country, a lot of marketing actually is using all these 7 factors of marketing mix and trying to get an advantage over the competitor. Can we get the next one? This leads us to the next point, which is that in making marketing strategy, one of the other issue that we face with is what is called STP, segmentation, targeting, and positioning. Segmentation is, I have a market in front of me. This market needs to be broken up into or divided into component parts. Why? Because, as we have discussed already, since consumers' needs and wants are different, and different group people have different type of preferences, etc., one size fit all will not work. I cannot create a standard product of one single size, say a shirt called large size, and hope that every male will be able to wear it. Or nowadays females also wear shirts. Anyway, everybody can wear it. That will not do. So if I'm in a textile business and if I'm making ready-made garments, I'll have to have elaborate research done on the market to find out what are the rough division of the market in terms of, let's say, the size of the dress material. How much of how much of large, etc., etc. I mean, this is a very elementary example. But the point is, the needs and wants of the customers will influence my ability to partition the market, to divide the market into different segments. Most obvious type of segmentation is demographic. Gender, male market, female market. Family. In the family, there is a child. So I have a children market. I have a adult market. Which product will have a very relevant, we use this as a very relevant parameter to break the market. A typical product which enters the family consumption. Say, for example, toothpaste. So toothpaste for child, is it the same formulation, same size, same color, same taste? Most probably not. I'll have to specifically position a children toothpaste for the child. Same in the case of adult, what am I looking for? Which type of need I'm going to satisfy? There was a brand called Forans. I don't see it much these days. Forans in our young days used to be publicized as dentist toothpaste. That means if you use Forans, your gum will remain healthy, you will not have any cavity issue, etc. Dentist toothpaste. So essentially the story of the brand was medicinal. Take another example, Close Up. This is the Hindustan Lever brand, coming in multiple colors, sometimes dark blue, sometimes red. Close Up's positioning is that it is a toothpaste which brings fresh breath. And this fresh breath has a social dimension, because when you are mixing with people, particularly in a, say, in a boy-girl situation, this is a romantic situation, a bad breath can be a very, very embarrassing problem. So Close Up, and remember, and notice the name of the brand, Close Up. So this brand is breaking the market into from that point of view. So segmentation is one of the first point about important issue about what we call creative marketing strategy. How you break the market? What are the parameters you are going to use here? Market research has to be brought in here to help you find the answers. Targeting. There are 5 different segments I've identified who all have a potential need for the product. But of these 5 segments, which ones or which I will target with my brand? Should I target all of them? Should I target some of them? Should I target only one of them? Now, these are very important marketing issues. If I'm a big company like Hindustan Lever and I believe in mass marketing, I'll try to cover maybe as many segments as possible. But if I'm a company like an Ayurvedic herbal company with not much of resources, like Ramdev's, of course, he has a lot of resources anyway. I might actually focus on only 1 or 2 segments. Volkswagen, German car maker, or Maruti in India, has models for almost every range of price and income. Whereas, if you look at the most expensive car of the world, Rolls-Royce, is positioned against a very narrow segment. It's what we call a niche segment. So if your product price is high, because of its high quality, you often actually decide that your market segmentation will be based on single market targeting or a niche market targeting. Here you are playing the game of high margin and low volume. In other case, you are talking about high volume, low margin. With high volume, your advantages are that you can achieve scale of economy and you can bring down the average cost of production and marketing down. And therefore, even with a low price, you can still make good profit. And with large number of customers in your portfolio, you get a low risk presence in the market. In the niche market, your risk is concentrated. It is not diversified. So if something goes wrong with that market, you might face a problem. So positioning, after you've targeted, your positioning is the story that the product or the brand tells to that target customer in that targeted group. You have a low-priced product. You are targeting it against a broad segment or 2 or 3 broad segments. Take an example like Dettol. What is Dettol? It's a primary antiseptic, comes in liquid and form of cream, etc. What is it? It is an antiseptic which you use for minor cuts and bruises. And it is required, frequently used, because such things can happen quite frequently. A nick while shaving my beard, I apply it. A young kid goes to play, he falls down, he has some little bit of laceration, you apply it. So what's great about it? So how you position this brand so that the customer becomes interested to buy it. Everybody knows that it is useful, it's protection. But if there are 3, 4 brands competing in that market, like Dettol, you have Savlon, you have a few other things, or a Borolin cream, for example, how you make sure that the Dettol is the market leader, that it will be the strongest competitor? One way of doing it is, of course, first of all, is At the basic minimum, the product must offer the primary solution. If it is an antiseptic protection, it must provide that antiseptic protection function absolutely superbly. Number one. Number two, can I do something else? Can I augment the value of the product in the eyes of the customer? And this is where comes the psychological game, which some people will say it is a psychological manipulation. It is partly, yes, true, but basically saying that in the eyes of the customer, can I improve the perceived quality of the product, of the brand, by doing something? So what you do? In case of Dettol, what they did? They made it, they brought out an emotional involvement with the product. So it is not a depiction of, in the advertisement, it is not a depiction. The story is not about a boy falling down and getting a cut on his knee and he applying Dettol. That is very straightforward. Here it is, the boy falls, gets a cut, has a little bleeding, he starts crying. His mother rushes out from inside the house, goes near him, picks him up and puts him on the lap, and brings out a bottle of Dettol, applies the cotton on his, and very carefully caresses and applies that antiseptic there on the spot. And then perhaps ends it up with a little kiss on the forehead of the child. Now, this whole process positions the brand in the context of what we call the mother's care. So the antiseptic Dettol takes the background seat. What comes in the foreground is the emotional connect between the brand, the mother, and the son. If you remember, same was the case with a product called Vicks VapoRub, which is very much present in the market today. At night, it is winter time or it's a monsoon time, the boy catches a cold. He's a young boy, he's sometimes even an infant, and having some breathing problem, congestion on the throat or something. He cannot sleep properly, he cannot express, he cannot articulate. So mother is really concerned, and she takes the kid on the lap and then gently rubs Vicks on his body. This emotional feeling is now conveyed through the touch, through the sparsh of the mother of the child. And Vicks VapoRub becomes the medium of that. So it is a solution which is now placed in a very, very emotional context of mother's love and concern for the child. So this is how you bring the involvement of the brand high in the market, high in the mind of the customer. Please note that though I'm giving examples mostly from consumer product categories, but same concept applies to all categories of products and brands. What is limiting is your own creativity. What is limited is your imagination. So if you can really think through it, you will come up with, and sometimes your market research will help you that, come up with newer insights. So if you ask me, what is the role of marketing? The role of marketing is to create and exploit opportunities which in turn are created by consumer behavior insights. So unless you can capture those insights, you will never be able to do a good marketing job. Anyway, so this leads to our next point, which is that the journey from commodity to product to brand is fairly simple, straightforward, and already covered mostly in what our earlier points. What is a commodity? Commodity is a collection of items which have no identification except for maybe a label or a name. A sack full of potatoes is a commodity. This sack full of potatoes has 40 kilograms of potato inside that bag. Another bag has 30 kilograms. Only difference is that this one is a lighter bag of potatoes. But both are potatoes and that's it. How the commodity potato in this case becomes a product? When I start adding certain values to it. And please remember that it is not your addition of value that is important. It is the perception on the part of customer that you have added a value which is of use to him or her. That is important. So now, what the seller has done is, he has opened that bag of potato and has started sorting out those potatoes, grading them, which are big in size, unmarked, looks very nice, simple, soft skin, one side. Those were smaller on the side. So graded by size, graded by skin quality, graded by shape, etc. So once you have done this grading, now you see that some people are willing to pay you a little higher price for the better graded items, because you have done your pricing that way now. You have made a differential pricing by grades. Then you find that the seeds from which the potatoes have been cultivated, have been grown, they make a difference. So the Jyoti seed potatoes have a certain quality, and the other one, whatever that name is, other quality is a different quality, it's a better quality. So now you have two by name. So this is how the brand name is coming. The origin of the product. Take an example of tea. As soon as I say that this tea is from Darjeeling, so the origin is Darjeeling, and that is from Assam, the per kilo prices will differ quite widely. Now this is where your product commodity has become a product with a differential value perception. And now you add further meaning to this product and make it a brand. So what is your brand? I don't think we have reached that stage yet, but anyway, in the market, some innovative seller starts selling potatoes at a relatively much higher price, saying that this potato has gone through that type of process which makes it friendly for diabetic patient to eat. So if you have sugar, please take this potato. It will not harm you anyway. And I have seen that happening in my own experience in Jadavpur market, for example. So that is how the brand happens. But even now, it is still not all that strong. So when the brand comes, really, this potato is now made code for further processing. So it is now put into a machine, goes to a factory, gets chopped off, processed, cooked, salt added, blah, blah, packed, and come back as a potato chip. So that potato chip has a brand name, and that becomes a Pakka brand. Now, this is how, so two lessons here. One lesson is, whatever appears to be a commodity today, by your marketing application and ingenuity and creative thinking, you can convert it into a brand. Most of the products in the market today, the agricultural products, for example, the fruits you buy, you'll find that many of these fruits, like apples, have a small sticker on their skin. And that sticker says golden delicious, or it says apple from New Zealand, or it says Washington apples. So these are not apples anymore. They are now Washington apples, or they are golden delicious apples. So they offer you additional values. So today the world of marketing has become one of brands, a lot of brands all over the place. And the brands compete. So brands are competing. So when the brands are competing against one another, what are the factors that will become important? Let's have a look at it. Next slide. And I think I'll carry on for another 10 minutes. Then 11:30 we shall close. Look at the next slide. Competitive strategy and competitive advantage. Please remember the brand lesson that we've just learned. Here, there's a guy called Michael Porter, who is a Harvard professor, who came up with this model initially, and it's known by his name. So Porter identified three major competitive strategies. One is cost leadership, second is differentiation, and third is focus. That means he says that if you want to compete with your competitors, you can use any of these options, or sometimes a combination. What is cost leadership? offering the value that the customer is looking for. Offer him that value at the cheapest possible cost compared to your competitors, at the cheapest relative cost. Please remember, this is not price. It is the cost. That means it is the internal element of costing. How much is your production cost? How much is your marketing cost? How much is your overheads? How much is your administrative cost? If you can run a very efficient ship and keep all these costs minimum, at the same time, without affecting the quality that the customer is looking for, then you can practice a cost leadership itself strategy. Countries do that. Before 2010 or so, China started becoming the manufacturing hub of the world by using essentially the cost leadership strategy. Because everybody started outsourcing their manufacturing to China because China could produce at the least possible cost. And hence, even with a suitable profit margin, their prices also became much lower. So cost leadership is a very important strategy. If you have internal efficiencies, if you have scale economies, if you have manpower, talent and quality and skill, all these combined together, so cost leadership will be an important thing. Differentiation. Differentiation is where the marketing really comes into play. Your brand and my brand, both are in the market, both are occupying shelf space in the grocery store. Customer is walking into the store and he is either looking at the shelf and picking up. So is he picking up your brand or is he picking up my brand? Or is he telling, he's specifying to the shopkeeper, give me a Pepsodent toothpaste. Is he saying that? Which brand name is he asking, is he ordering? That happens because of the differentiation. That means what is the different value, different perceived value I've created of my brand in the eyes of the customer. Sometimes it's obvious. For example, when Nirma entered the picture, when Jio enters the telecom picture, it offers a huge cost advantage, let's say. So barrier to entry is very low. So customer is attracted to walk into that situation. Later on, they might hike up the price. That's a different issue. But initially, I'm attracting him through the low price. So this is my differentiating advantage. Other advantages, my credential, my authenticity. Because my brand name is such, so what I'm saying makes sense, is important. And you believe it is to be so. So if the product is from the house of Tatas, customer feels reassured because Tata is a trusted name. So differentiation is created by the brand value called trust. I can love a brand. Sometimes the trust can give way to love because it offers me sometimes some amount of joy or possession. Walt Disney is a brand of love because Walt Disney has made my world, of my childhood world, full of Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and other characters, animated cartoons. So I love that brand. And when I love that brand, when I grow older, I become adult, I have no more any time for animation cartoon. But when my child is wanting to see a cartoon, I invariably ask him to check out this channel, the Disney Channel, because this is a brand that love affair continues, endures. So focus is, don't try to do everything to everybody. Pick up your item which you are good at, and then go hammer and tongs with that to a specific target audience. For example, there is a brand called Sham Ahuja. Sham Ahuja is a luxury brand from Mumbai. They offer household textile of a very high-end quality. By textile, I mean here things like rugs, wall hangings, curtains, like that. Now, Sham Ahuja tells the story, this is how he differentiates, in a very high-class international magazine like Vogue. Vogue is an international magazine published from New York. and it is a fashion barometer. So typically people who read it are of that type. So in that magazine, there's a half-page ad by Shyam Ahuja saying, his brand name is Shyam Ahuja, and he's the owner, says that these wall hangings that you're seeing here, these are frankly not for everybody. They themselves are making it exclusive. They are saying it is almost insulting you, saying it is not for you, like that. Most people won't be able to afford it. It is only meant for only few people. So this is an example, extreme example of focus. So you can compete with another competitor on the basis of cost leadership, differentiation, or focus. And the 5 forces of framework is competitive rivalry. That means in the space in where you are competing, in the direct product category where you are competing, what is the intensity of rivalry? For example, if the market leader in that space enjoys a 20% market share compared to another situation where the leader has 70% market share, what is the intensity mode? The intensity is in the first case, because everybody is equally powerful, nearly equally powerful, and he has therefore, even the leader doesn't enjoy more than 20% market share. So intensity of competition. So what is the strategic thinking here? That if this is the competitive scenario, I'll have to think about bringing a new product offering which can operate in a less intense competition, or I can diversify. And therefore, I shall think about moving gradually out of this intense rivalry. Could be one of the options. Second, supplier power. My competitive situation is determined by how good are my suppliers in supplying me the materials that I look for and the price at which I buy from them. If I get steady supply of the reliable material at reasonable cost, then this itself creates a competitive advantage for me vis-a-vis my competitors. Today, one of the most intense rivalries happening internationally over what are called the rare minerals, the lithiums and few others, magnetites, etc. Electric car makers require powerful batteries which will give them a long run for the car. Those batteries require rare minerals which are not available in most of the countries. Few countries have them. China has a big reserve. Yesterday, there was a big fight between Ukraine president and Donald Trump. That fight, of course, created one unintended consequences. American president was about to sign an agreement with Ukraine to get rare minerals from Ukraine. Of course, that could not happen because of the fight or the war. So issue here is that people who control the source of that mineral, they have a tremendous supplier power today. And your competitive position gets affected in turn. So please note that when I'm talking about marketing and competition, we are actually talking about a very broad overall corporate strategy situation. You cannot separate the two from like that. Because marketing is ultimately business and corporate strategy. Okay, buyer power. Similarly, those of you who have studied economics, you know that there's a monopoly concept and there's a monopsony concept. When there's a single buyer and many sellers, obviously the buyer has a lot of power. So are you in that type of situation that where your buyer is very powerful, and if you cannot get his market or market share, your business is unlikely to succeed? Then you'll remain a weak competitor because the buyer has the power. So you have to think of how to reduce that power and seek alternative solutions. Threat of substitution. There is a very popular word in marketing called disruption. We mentioned about marketing myopia earlier. So when your product is threatened with substitute products, then you know that the alarm bells are ringing very fast now, because the market itself might disappear for you. What happened to typewriters? manual typewriter, became electronic typewriter, and then they disappeared once keyboard came. What happened to so many things? So many examples are there. Even sometimes even a cultural item can disappear because people's cultural behavior has changed. Till 1950s, even early 60s, Western countries, many of the adult males used to wear hats. And hat was a very popular male accessory. Nobody knows how and why. By mid 60s, hats started disappearing. Fashion changed, social trend changed, and hat became sort of obsolete, extinct. There are case studies where American Hat Manufacturers Association joined hands together, all the competitors, and said we must collectively fund a campaign to bring back hat, but it didn't succeed. Which means that if a socio-cultural trend changes, even the most powerful advertising cannot bring it back. At one point of time in the tobacco category, cigars sale was almost equal to that of cigarette. Today, cigars is a very, very minor player. Same thing as a cultural disappearance of the product. So when the people's habit changes, culture changes, then the market has to change, and the threat of substitution becomes very, very acute. Similarly, threat of new entrants. That means people who are in your same category but have not yet been there suddenly have become active and have started entering. So you have to manage all these forces and formulate your strategy. Should I continue or should I stop here? What do you say? Okay, you tell me. I'll go carry on.
Continue, sir.
Can you make
5 to 10 minutes.
Okay. So let's deal with one more slide then.
Okay.
Sorry? This is about the branding and innovation. Okay, I think we should do one thing. I'll go. Can you skip to the next one? Because this branding we have already talked about. So let's go to. This is another paradigm of marketing which is important, and that is called the relationship marketing. We all know that how important relationships are, whether it is in family context or societal context, or relationship between employer and employee, etc. Even in marketing also it is important. So what we are saying here is that objective of the marketing program or strategy is to create customers and also to retain customers. And a company becomes very successful and profitable if a large portion of its total customer base are retained customers. Suppose, for sake of example, I have 10 customers who buy from me. Out of these, 5 have become my customer in the last 1 year. So I define them as new customers. Other 5 are there with me for period ranging from last 5 years to this year. So people who are with me from 2, 3, 4, 5 years back, they are my retained customers. Now, when we have seen, and it is a fact, that cost of maintaining a retained customer for the company is much less than acquiring a new customer. The cost of acquisition is always higher than cost of retention, which means that the older the customers are with you, that means they are retained with you for a longer time, they become more profitable for you. So retained customers are more profitable for the company. On the other hand, if you acquire a customer, that costs you good amount of effort and money. And secondly, if you look at the reverse pyramid, the bottom of it, there is a churn. Churn means every year or every time period, some amount of customers are leaving you. So this is a funnel. New customers are entering to the top, and some customers are leaving you for various reasons. One could be even death, or one could be competitor has done a better job, so he's going to switch to another brand. So to prevent this loss from happening, or to minimize this loss, and to increase the profit of your operation, your objective is to expand this band. That means the retained customer band. So more customers you can retain, because that means the customers are more satisfied with you and they keep on buying more and more. They keep on buying from you. So this is what is meant by relationship marketing. They buy from you your existing product because they're older customer. They trust you now, so they buy your new product, the product that you have introduced recently. So what you are doing is you can cross sell your products better. If you have n number of products, most of these products you can sell to this guy. For a new customer, it will take a much longer time to convince him that he should buy a wide range of your offerings. He might still be in the trial and error mode. This relationship, this is what is meant by the customer relationship. However, relationship marketing doesn't end with customer market. So this is what we are mentioning here, that there are 6 relationship markets. Marketing basically operates in the customer market, where company sells, customer buys. However, there's a market in which it operates called supplier market. We have just mentioned about supplier power, etc. If you're an automobile company like Maruti, you have about 70% bought items. That means components and fixtures and sub-assemblies which you buy from other suppliers. So how good is your product and how efficient is your operation depends a lot on how good is your relationship with your suppliers. To give an example, my Maruti cars are equipped with tires from, let's say, MRF, for example. This model uses MRF tires. Now, I will stock a certain number of MRF tires in my godown, which will fit the assembly line. But at the same time, so I have 2 problems here. One is from the point of view of inventory management. One is I should not stock more than what I need, because that will block my capital. At the same time, I cannot afford to keep so few of them that the assembly line cannot be fed properly. So there will be a loss of production. So I have to have an agreement with my supplier of tire, which is MRF, that they develop a supply chain with me in such a way that my inventories with me are always at an optimum level. Because this can make a profit win-win situation for both of us. It's not an easy thing to develop. It takes time, but it's very, very important for the organizational success. So wherever you need to depend on suppliers, in case of electronic products, the same thing happens. A mobile phone, telephone requires 70-80% component supplies. And sometimes these supplies come from abroad, not necessarily from the place where the production is happening, assembly is happening. Today, Apple iPhone is being assembled in India, at least a part of them. But this assembly depends on imported components from South Korea, China, as well as India for final assembly. So supply chain becomes a major issue here. So it's not marketing, but ultimately its impact is on marketing. So I need to build relationships with my supplier market. Similarly, I need to build relationships with the recruitment market. What is the recruitment market? The market from where you acquire your talent and your workforce. Today, for the companies, one of the major issues is, can I have a technologically equipped, strong, skilled workforce? Today only I was reading in an article that many of the companies in India are saying that AI, artificial intelligence, is becoming an essential investment for us because we don't get skilled employees of the quality that we want. Unfortunately, India's educational system, including technical education, is not keeping pace with the demand of the industry, and therefore many of our graduates are becoming unemployable, and hence they want to make up that lacuna by investing on more on automated processes like robotics and AI, etc., to the extent possible. But the point here is that to get the best human talent, you must develop relationships with the recruitment market. Who are the people in the recruitment market? Sometimes consultants, and most of the time it is educational institutions, IITs, IIMs, international educational places. So what you do, you as a recruiter or as a HR person of your company, you develop relationship with such institutions. I remember when I was in IIM, the company representative would visit us twice or thrice a year and then talk to the students and make an offer to them that this is what the type of career plan that we can give it to you. So those who are interested can apply. And most of the guys used to get absorbed before they finish their course. But the point here is that there was a literal fight among the companies to get the best talents. So you need to identify where the talents are and then establish relationship with those places so that you can get a steady supply of manpower, skilled manpower for you. And why only talent in that at that level? Also, even at the lowest level, skilled worker level. If your factory is in a remote location and or you have a 3-shift operation and throughout the year, quite often you find problem of supply of worker because the workers often move to villages for harvesting or for some festival or something else. So you have a lot of supply chain hiccups there. So you need to have steady supply of skilled workforce also from certain sources. It will develop that relationship. L&T manager was talking about that same problem of worker recruitment. So anyway, so recruitment market, internal market is an interesting point. You have your sales force and service sales force. If these people are not properly sold the idea about the product to sell and how important customer satisfaction is, they might not be doing a good job. A. B. Sometimes because of your HR policies and your relationship issues, they may not be fully motivated to put in their best. In a service situation particularly, if your salespeople are demotivated or are not putting in their best energy, the customer gets the vibe and they may not like to buy from you finally. Or even if they buy, the service after the purchase may be so poor that they might next purchase they go to somebody else. So internal marketing here means that you must sell your proposition, your values, and your ideas to your employees before they can sell it to the customer. And you need to have a proper HR policy which gives these people sufficient motivation so that they can put their best and energy into the job. If they are demotivated, the market also will gradually lose interest in your brand. So internal market, we have a referral market. Referral market is most simple example of referral market is doctor's prescription. Patient gets the doctor's prescription, doctor writes the medicine, he refers the medicine, and you go and buy it from the shop, from the chemist. For the medicines manufacturer, the referral market is the most important market. So their sales force will contact the doctors, who in turn will give the reference of the medicine to the patient. So referral market is also important. And finally, influence market, that is the market with the opinion leaders as well as regulators. One of the most important issues for a telecom company in India or for anywhere else for that matter. So for Airtel or for Vodafone or Jio or BSNL, one of the most important people to keep in the right frame of mind is the regulator. Telecom authorities of India, TRAI. Because TRAI formulates policies, etc., which influence very drastically the well-being of the company. So you have to do a lot of marketing and lobbying, as we call it, with them. So these are the 6 relationship markets which you have to contend with in building relationships. And if you can do this job properly, then what happens is your job with the customer market becomes that much easier and better, and you compete more effectively. So you see how various different ways by which I can compete with my competitors. And all that we have discussed so far, right from the beginning till now, essentially offering clues and way forwards as to how I can become an effective competitor, whether in the domestic, in a defined market where I operate. The ball game can be quite different if you extend the market geographically from domestic to international market. Another set of forces will come in, but the broad theories will still hold. The concepts will still hold. Okay, one more slide and then we'll finish. Next one. Yeah, this is the last part of the relationship marketing. You call it a loyalty ladder. Now it is a pyramid here, though actually it should look like a ladder anyway. The bottom part of the ladder is made up of the group called suspects. Who are suspects? They are not murder suspects. They are suspects who have the broad need category, I know, who can buy my product, potential buyers, suspect. So if I'm making shoes, that the suspect is almost anybody who can have a footwear need. It's very broad. Then we come to funnel it down to refine it to prospect, the next rung of the ladder. Sorry. Who is a prospect? Prospect is a person or organization which has the need for the product or which requires the product, has the ability to pay for it, and has the willingness to acquire. So they have the ability, they have the desire, and they have the need. So they are economically capable, they have their need is there, and it is clearly available now. I mean, they know what they're looking for. So prospect is a very important target audience. And that if we can convert the prospects successfully, then some of them will become shopper. Shopper is one who is shopping around. That means he's making trial purchases. Some of it is from me. If I can again keep on doing proper relationship with him, then shopper can become a customer. Customer is a regular buyer. Customer becomes client, meaning he not only buys regularly, but he also buys my other offerings increasingly, more higher priced offerings maybe. Client is a person who is on a long-term relationship with the supplier. I have become a regular customer of your product. Client now becomes an advocate. He not only buys from me, but he tells others that they should also buy from me. So he becomes or she becomes my publicity agent. I get a free publicity from her. So it is very, very important that I must convert my prospects into customers and customers particularly into clients and advocates. And then in some very few cases, some of the persons from advocate level might actually transcend into what is called a strategic partner. So then we join hands together. He buys into my shares. I buy into his equities. For example, Toyota and a very prime raw material supplier, component supplier of Toyota. So loyalty ladder is like this. There will be attrition at each level of the ladder. Number will keep on declining, but you should have a sort of a critical mass at the level of client and advocate. Then you know that your brand is strong, you have a brand loyal group of customers, and you have a ensured protection from the competitive threat. Okay, I think I'll stop it here, and thank you all for very patient hearing.